What does it mean to be grounded in an ungrounded world? What does it look like for you? Welcome to the July 4th live stream. This is actually going to be an ongoing discussion. I actually have a couple of books that I've set aside for this particular discussion. Okay, if this video isn't discussing content that you're interested in, that's okay. There are other videos, right, that you can find on this particular channel that may be up your alley. But we're not going to be talking about fires. We're not going to be talking about fire bans. We're not going to be talking about China. We're not going to be talking about those particular things, but we will talk about these general ideas. What does it mean to be grounded for you? You know, there's a time in my life that I enjoyed going out and having beers in public, talking politics in public, being a contrarian when many Portlanders were drinking the Obama Kool-Aid. And there was a time in my life that got a rush out of those types of in-your-face types of encounters. And a lot of people today are getting that rush, if you will, from some of these political dialogues and discussions. There's a part of me that feels like I got some of that out of my system early. And I know what it's like to deal with the radical left and right elements of that. Extremism on both sides of the left and right that rears its ugly head. And for me, it's ungrounded. It's an ungrounding situation to be emotionally invested in changing how other people think. And as someone that shares information as a way of life, there's a philosophy behind that. But that philosophy is not based in everybody needs to wake up. It's more or less based in we're on a planet as souls. Some will even say it's not that we have a soul. We are a soul. What we have is a body. Hey, Charles. And we are experiencing this reality in the body. I believe that. And I think people have forgotten that in this world of the illusions of separation, including classism. Somebody can look at, oh, that's a poor person. That's a homeless person. They have no class. They have no intelligence. They have nothing to offer. If they did have something to offer, somebody else would have shown themselves to have offered themselves something to that person. But if they're not, well, there must be something wrong with that person or their inability to be willing to use the law of attraction. You see, so we have that judgment. We have that judgment. The greater reality is that a lot of people have something to offer on this planet. But they have to be willing to believe in it themselves. They have to know their own truth. We have to know our own truth. You see, the purpose of knowing a truth and speaking a truth and being a part of something isn't about necessarily what other people are doing. It's about what we're doing as a soul inside the body, animating this flesh, animating this vessel. That's what we're here to do. You may or may not also agree that you're here to do something to help raise awareness to something, but many of us do, and we've dedicated our life to it. There are ways in which we can find ourselves ungrounded in this reality when we lose ourselves, and not just to ego, right, but in desire. Someone could think to themselves, well, if I'm going to do something for others or get involved in something, I want X amount of money, or I want to live in a particular community, or I want X, Y, and Z. Also, a lot of people like to party. It's not that I have something against partying. It's just the natural, just what seems to be a natural nature of humanity at times to take things to certain excesses. Escapism, bread and circus. There are certain things that other people find, and it's nothing against them, right? But I feel ungrounded if the reality is about intoxicating oneself, watching the UFC on a flat screen television TV set, put on a mask to pretend you're something that you're not in order to get the girl, or for some of the women in order to get the guy or the guy that's going to pay the bills. That's ungrounded. And I think a big key of being grounded is to be yourself. You see, we have this catchphrase, be yourself, just be yourself. And one of the things that I've noticed, and we've been able to notice this on the internet in recent years, right? People that are different, maybe people like you, maybe people like me, people that look at reality differently, may be treated a certain way by their coworkers, by the people that were their friends, by others. They may be treated a certain way because they're a free thinker. They're thinking outside the box. They're talking about their belief in God or the creator. They're not doing it through the lens of a religion. Many traditions, whether it be in parts of the Middle East or parts of old Europe, have shown suspicion. They've called them witches and have treated them as such. In parts of our planet, different parts to the free thinkers that have sought to look beyond the veil, right? Beyond the curtains of the social norms. And like the whole history of humanity is like one large similar story of this oppression of these social norms and the human beings holding up those oppressive systems, not truly being victims, but allowing those systems of power, those symbols of power, to continue to have influence. And we see where they are today, and we see where they are going today. This is a great tool that we have, by the way, the internet. I'm able to live stream to you, and I have really crappy internet service. And for the first time, it seems that not only is the internet technology a little bit better, that would be a little bit the streaming. I'm noticing that the YouTube videos are streaming when I watch them at 144. Again, I have very low internet speed where I left the grid in Colorado using satellite internet only, right? Very, very slow. And so to have this ability, and we talk about the ability to share ideas with people around the planet, when you start going on a path where your primary dialogue is spiritual protection and psychic protection and dealing with psychic warfare, it'll bring out things that will distract us, distracting people, distracting topics. But ultimately, and almost as if this is the alien invasion, which the early sci-fi films were warning us about, but it wasn't necessarily about actual tin can robot aliens, but something else. There's been something in the human consciousness for thousands of years that has questioned what has been taking place and how do we protect ourselves. And certain environments that human beings live in, just try to stay center here, where there's a lot of drugs going on, where there's a lot of unnatural electromagnetic pollution, where there's a lot of unhappy people, because they are their own transmitter receivers. Environments where there are a lot of cell phones. Environments to where the river has been polluted by very unnatural things. You think about just the modern, and I'm not anti-car, but just the modern technologies that we use today that we may take for granted that are still somewhat new to us. And I'm not saying that the cars are affecting the climate, right? But there is pollution, which is a reality, things that we breathe, things that aren't good for humans to breathe. It's not good for a human to be breathing in those toxins at the tail end of a tailpipe, even if some humans throughout time have tried to get high through such a ridiculous action. So we live in environments, most people, including myself, because there are other people and technologies around here and this world is changing. And these environments, especially when you have old energy that isn't cleaned up, certain old buildings, old ways of thinking, pollution, it seems to be something, right, that certain negative entities, and I'm going outside the box of even using the term archon, spiritual parasites. That's why they say clean up your space, clean up your space, take showers, eat healthy food. There's a number of different things involved in what it means to be really healthy. And by the way, I know someone that's trying to get her first 1,000 subscribers. She's a mother of several children, and she would love to see her first dollar. She needs to make 1,000 subscribers. Check out the homepage of my YouTube channel and look for Ultra Human on the right sidebar. Right now, putting a promotion there because this is about holistic health. And there are different people that have important information to share based on their experiences. But at the cornerstone of psychic protection is protecting our mind from intrusion. It is healthy cognitive function and behavior. Internet addictions and certain disinformation that is out there on the internet, especially things that is based in dividing people, based in bullying people, based in scapegoating people. And I'm noticing a lot of groups do that, with few exceptions. And so I would describe it as a vibrational frequency. there is a lot of good that could be done on the internet, but it's also something that could be easily used as a weapon. And so, like all things in life, right? Someone has a choice to make how they're going to use the technology, how they're going to output what it is that they say, how they're going to take a little bit closer at what it is that they take in. You see, when I take 2 months off of the internet, right, I get the time to also observe myself, observe the differences in psychology, but also by disconnecting from the internet, it reminds me how important my job is to be showing up here on a daily basis, if possible, when possible, sharing my thoughts with you without hiding my thoughts from you. And sometimes when we step back from something that we've had a lot of, and the internet can distract us with a lot of news out there that seems to be threatening our sense of well-being, our very life. That type of constant bombardment takes a psychological toll, especially if the person on a full-time basis is looking at news, current developments, and they're living alone in nature without a lot of other stimulation. And so I've learned what that's like, right? And on one level, it could bring some really heavy out of balance energies. At the same time, it connects me with so many of you. And I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for tuning in today. We have a new person. Now, if you would like to leave a comment, there is a live stream open now. We're going to try to go for at least 1 hour. Remember to hit that like button. Remember to share. We got word that we have solid audio and video, couple of topics. If you're new to this channel, right, and you want to interact a little bit with one of the topics that I address, some of the things that I don't discuss, lifestyles of the rich and famous. We don't cover the news from InfoWars. We don't rip and read from some of these particular areas. My own experience living off the grid is a reoccurring theme. Living in Colorado was another. Escaping from Portland, Oregon, the movie that hasn't been made, probably should, right? We recently came out of a period of a full moon, and we saw an increase in violent attacks, right? That's another thing that we could discuss. What is going on energetically? If Majin Ben was watching, for example, I would ask him, well, what is your astrological understanding of this particular time that we're in? I've heard from others, you know, especially Portlanders, about, you know, the collective shift in consciousness, you know, the other polarity to the end of the world, 2012 theory. I mean, there are people just like, Alex, don't you know that in 2012 we're saved? And it was really like cult-like, you know, it was never really, you know, on board that type of understanding, but we are going through shifts of energy. Now we go through shifts of energy. Let's just take that story, for example, where that guy killed the refugee children with a knife, and the 3-year-old died just the other day. She was in the hospital. I look at that as a possession. When we see the other story about the woman that raped her boyfriend, and we look at her mugshot, I mean, really, do you really have to have like deep, profound spiritual views to look at some of these mugshots and go, oh yeah, he was taken. Ghostbusters, who are you going to call? What you going to do? Somebody call an exorcist. But ultimately, I feel like I've been tracking this stuff, especially in the post-2012 era. And so people are asking themselves, what is going on? People are asking themselves, how do we protect ourselves against this evil? One of the things that I have found is that it's an entire prison planet. We could relocate to a particular area, right, to where the energetics are a little bit more suitable for us to be grounded, right? But it doesn't mean that we can run from our problems. It doesn't mean that we won't deal with those same Agent Smith matrix personalities that may manifest, be smiling one moment only to morph into a smirk, to where the hand extended turns into a fist. We've seen a lot of people morph personalities. It could be seen acutely in social media today, how people treat each other, but also when we can see whether you're on one side or the other, it doesn't matter. Welcome to both. as well as the independents, fellow independents that are outside the left-right paradigm. But when you see volcanoes going off, and you see fighting in Portland, and you see violent news, for example, and then you see solar flares, and you see full moons, and you see wildfire spreading, and you see comment sections getting more negative, and you see lack of barbecues. And it's great that we have live streams, but we're literally in our own little cube in this matrix. These are things to show us something, to wake us up. Another new step away from the internet. I'm seeing other people that are full-time YouTubers do it just to reset their own politics aside, spiritual views aside, just to reset their own clock. I don't know if I agree with Infinite Waters, that the computer gives us tumors for a very spiritual man. I hope these computers aren't giving us tumors, but I think that heavy technological bombardment of this unnatural energy is inherently against our true nature. And the possibilities do exist for what I've called over the years the Archon mind hijack, that somebody could literally spend too much time online and maybe something else, like a ghost in the machine type of a thing, could be targeting particular individuals, even on a level making sleeper agents. Taking a look at some of the comments. Okay. Will you unblock such and such? Okay. Hassan Ali, AS Mar is a psyops. Just wait till the locusts are released from the pit. Okay. So we'll keep coming back to the comment section, seeing if anything is related to the things that are actually happening in our world. Now, the sun does exist. I have never believed that the earth is flat. And as we go into the solar minimum, as we prepare to go into the solar maximum, whether it's a minimum or a maximum, we are continuing to see a thinning of the Earth's magnetic field. And there's an article that I wrote about this particular topic, solar maximum and the Earth's weakening magnetic field. I'm also, because I understand that this topic isn't understood by a lot of people, but it's going to be discussed again now. The last time I discussed this issue on a live stream, some really weird things started to happen. The takeaway from this discussion, you know, the idea of events being manufactured in our world when there are solar flares, when people are more aggressive, whether trying to manipulate on the left or the right, it's undeniable. And we can see on social media where there are those moments, for example, where there's a lot of anger all of a sudden, all at once, and there's a lot of fighting. One time when Bill and I were doing a show and we were talking about the riot at Ferguson, and now this is a part of a mainstream media psyops, we ended up arguing amongst each other. We were watching the real-time video of the protest at Ferguson. And I was trying to play director while actually trying to comment over the particular video. I even found myself speculating, what if we were affected by some sort of a frequency or an energy from the television set, from the actual YouTube on video on YouTube that could be coming from the mainstream media, like some sort of a frequency to where all of those people at those moments, yes, something as simple as a YouTube video, could be watching something and be tapping into that frequency of conflict and anger. And we could see literally but it is a battle over resources. And humans could subconsciously be reacting to what's happening in the environment, to where it's more direct with the bear. When we see the black bear and the grizzly bear going at it, we see a black bear attacking a grizzly, and someone said, that's weird. That's not normally something that they do. So we're seeing uncommon behavior, right, from animals because of changes to the environment. So whether we're looking at the bears in the forest, or whether we're looking at the humans in the city, but also the humans in the forest that may be on Facebook full time, we are dealing with people that can be affected by their environment. And the thing is, spiritual protection is about grounding yourself and tapping into your own energy and protecting yourself from those intrusive forces of influence. Now, going now to Hassan, I wake up every morning, 5 a.m., just to see the sunrise. There's a reference to leukemia. Would this be a reference? Stressed animals behave in uncommon ways. I will answer that person. There's a lot of people that hate me online. I don't interact with that stuff anymore. That's it. I'm not here to interact with that which hates and things of that nature. People asked me before, what about this person over here on YouTube? Have you ever like hung out with that particular person? Or we're talking about like something else somewhere else. My question is, why does that matter? My question is, what's wrong with the dialogue and what I'm discussing today? There are 104 people that just lost their home in spring fire. Okay, we have a fire that's grown up to 80,000 acres. We have volcanic eruptions. Not only in Hawaii, right? But people are acting like they're concerned about China. China's doing actual earthquake drills off the state of Oregon. So I've been talking about this stuff for a lot of years. It's okay, right? If some people don't like it. You know, there's constantly going to be criticism. And there's constantly going to be other upset feelings. The question is, what's wrong with keeping it away from the personalities and on these particular topics? Because when it all clears, the smoke, our lifetime, what it comes down to, right, is how we lived as individuals, not who our best friends were on the internet. I don't have a tight-knit network with anyone in the alternative media. And over the course of this channel, I've talked about those reasons in depth, like full on hours upon hours in the whole history of this YouTube channel. So I stay in my little arena, okay? And I do what I do. And I don't owe anyone anything. And that's the thing that people forget, whether it be responding to lots of emails, anything at all. I don't. And when you grow up and you live your life without family for a long period in time, right? When you find certain things happening to you on social media, right? You stop looking outside of yourself for all these other people to maybe fix something, and you accept and be grateful for, I do, right, what I have here. Because there was a time in which I lived in a major city in Portland, Oregon, to where I was constantly doing meetups and trying to get, like, you know, people together. You know, I watch many people come and go, come and go, come and go. And so it's less about that person, that person, that person, that person. It's not about any individual. It's about Alex Ansary going his own way on a deeper fundamental level. Sometimes I talk to a few people over a period of years, and there's a sense of camaraderie built up. Dude, I really trust this person, you know. And then so over time, right, people develop those networks, and that's awesome. But we just came out of like a very turbulent period, right, where people can easily be labeled their political enemy, and I've been labeled that political enemy by a lot of people. You know, I've shared from the heart things that I won't discuss now, that I was straight up sharing like you would share with the best friend on my YouTube channel last winter, my first winter here. Like, I was sharing stuff from the heart. Like, I know you guys are all pumped up about the election and whatnot, but here's from my heart, like primarily like about myself and the things that I'm going through. And I'm not getting into detail. And if someone or like a group of people are going to be like, yeah, whatever, dude, just keep entertaining us with like the thoughts that you have to share that empower us at the moment, but don't actually go there. And I'm just speaking generally, you know, just to bring this to point. because this is related to the conversation of grounding oneself. And I found myself censoring myself on my YouTube channel because I found myself thinking, well, if you share some element of yourself or of something you survived, someone's going to take it the wrong way and attack you for it. You know, I'm just speaking like about a lot of different people, and a lot of people come and go. Very few people, like candles in the comment section, are recognizable beyond a month or a week. People find me, then they dump me. People find me, then they dump me. If they do speak about me publicly, it's in slander or encouraging others to do likewise. It's very rarely found to be positive. See, these are all troubling signs, especially when people take politics so much with all the stalking going on. You know, people are now taking things to a level, right, that were not happening before, right? And we have this internet. There's so much more that could be done. Now, if I were to talk about the spring fire, and I'm going to look at the comments in a minute, and I hope there's something that I can take out of the comments that relates to the core topics on this channel, right? But so much of YouTube is an infighting matrix. And there are now so many YouTube channels that have topics where they've dealt with people that absolutely hate them because they have a channel and that's it. And they're not even political. And it's not getting better. It's reaching whole new levels to where there are people that don't even try to challenge people's belief system that are in the matrix. And they have comment moderators. There isn't one at the moment. Because they have people coming in just trying to completely derail, and all their video was about was how to make a YouTube video. That was the whole topic. And so like there's literal like focus put in from the content creator perspective of how to keep like the chat section on a particular focus, whether it be like how to improve your YouTube channel, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. So if you really look at it without just all of our English words, it's like a sea of chaos taking place right now in fires, flooding, volcanic eruptions, and the human behavioral response. And every time we pass through a full moon period, right, you'll see a lot of that energy coming back. And it was last year during the eclipse that I saw a major drop in employment or income. And it was in August. A lot of really weird things began to happen during that period. And it was a period of now you're on your own economically. Whatever you're going to do on your own. And this is a real test. And it was scary because I've already invested about $7,000 into this property. If I was to end up in a situation with no money whatsoever, I could lose what I've already put into it. I've got to finish making the payments. And so in the last calendar year, I've seen things goes from here to here, and I'm hoping, and I think there's going to be some recovery. By the way, thank you, Holly. And I want to believe, right, that there is a possibility in things getting better. And that's difficult to do when things have fallen so much. When the income, when so many videos that I did, whether it be about relationships, I think MGTOW is a very shallow word, by the way, just to be honest with you. I think it's very limited. I think a better hashtag would be something that brings in the men and women, right? That are like different than the rest, that want to find other men and women, even platonic, like friendship, to where we're outside the box of these mind control systems. So I associate less with MGTOW and more with this acronym, which has never really been described. Just hanging out with hippies doesn't get you there. Sorry. I'm not sure how we end up in this arena. What I'm saying is I've put out a lot of videos that weren't even political to see what YouTube's done. And that hurts. So the goal is to recover from that burnout, is to keep moving forward, because there may be some positive elements of YouTube, despite everyone saying that they're being held down by the man. I think that some of that negative thinking, conspiratorial thinking, can lead us astray. You know what I mean? There are people out there just from using the right amount of words that can end up with a lot of viewers. I'll take a look at even somebody that I think was it Robin? It was someone that anytime someone subscribes to my channel, if you have videos, I check out your content. Because I think things like that are important. I think that people rarely check out my content when I subscribe to them, but I'm curious, like, whoa, you have videos, you have subscribers? What do you talk about? By the way, sometimes people that support Donald Trump and support other things that I maybe do not, they respect me and they enjoy my content because they've been able to find something on this channel that relates to them. That relates to them. So I'm going to take a deep breath. I was going a lot of different directions. We're 30 minutes in. I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to continue this stream. I'd like to hear from some of the other viewers that may like to hear about some other topics. So what I'm going to do is go back up on the chat list and we'll take a look at what's there. Okay, so I'm glad I got that out. And like I said, I didn't say I'm not nervous about fires. I am. I'm saying that I've turned it over. I've turned it over to something greater than myself. I also am just saying that I'm going to be okay. 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 You're going to be okay. Sometimes you really need to do that. And I want to do so much more on my channel than talk about conspiracies. I'm going to go outside the box. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go, but I know if there's more to life than talking about perceived threats. You know what I mean? Like, look, I don't believe in just finding fluff good news to give you. But if there is some sort of a positive thing, if there was like a community that was developing, if there was something that needed a spotlight, I don't even need to be there. What I need to do is just be aware of what it is that they're doing, share it. Let's say that a county somewhere was able to, they're up against the feds, you have to understand, but get compost toilets legalized. You know what I mean? That would change the game for a lot of off-gridders. Like something that's safe, but $27,000 for a septic system is out of reach for a lot of people. So there is a pressure cooker right now, whether you know it or not, that's building, and it's not over until the state of Colorado decides to change their mind. It's the state of Colorado that's trying to tell the counties what to do. And if the state of Colorado has been taken over by, you know, you guys are talking about Agenda 2030, and I don't talk enough about it, it's real. I don't want to think that someone started these fires, but could certain circumstances be put into place that can make things really dry, that can make it go up in a puff of smoke and then regulate people back into the city? And that's what we're dealing with now. And the unity doesn't exist in small town little communities like this for off-gridders. I was naive in Costilla County, okay, a couple of years ago. I'm glad I did what I did, right? But I was naive, thinking that if you put it on YouTube, that the lawyers will come, that the ACLU will come, that your allies will come. No, it builds up resentment, and people get a misinterpretation thinking that I was trying to overpopulate the valley with a bunch of trashy homeless people from the city, which isn't true. Even when I was living in Portland without a home, I hung out by myself. Like, talked to Keith Davis once in a while. It was hard, man. And I try to do some interviews. You got to be careful when you're down and out dealing with other homeless people, because they could hate you if you got anything. And I'm not trying to put up, I care about the homeless. I also keep my distance from people that are straight up will cut you. And there are people in the next town over. I'm reading the police blotter reports. There's violent crime slowly creeping into Colorado from Arizona. Things are getting bad down there. Now, I think about this flow. I'm jumping around to topics, I know, but we have this common theme of evacuating California, people fleeing California and other places, and going into some other areas that they might think are safe. I don't think everything's a conspiracy, but I mean, wow. We wouldn't want to see a number of cascading events take place to where people are boxed in to particular locations. So that's where I was coming from, where I talked about the Southern California evacuation drill from Los Angeles, trying to evacuate people out of Los Angeles, and in the event of a earthquake, and then bringing them to Arizona. And that got the hair almost sticking up on the back of my neck, because I'm thinking, well, what if people were fleeing Colorado from wildfires? You know, because I always thought, well, maybe I would just go to the San Luis Valley and it wouldn't be a big problem. Well, not when there's like highways shut down and the San Luis Valley is on fire. But the reasoning behind that is that so much of the San Luis Valley is a prairie, right? As you've seen from other videos on YouTube, mine and others. You see people in Costilla County, for the most part, they're in a prairie. Most people aren't up in Forbes Park, the high dollar, $1 million real estate. All right, so we'll go to a few comments here. Okay. Agenda 23, right? Why Agenda 21? Why not Agenda 23? I need to bring my computer a little bit closer. I'm going to make some more tea. I don't really have music and things like that set up, but I'm going to go back with topics. So we break up the seriousness and just keep going. It's not necessarily a marathon, but let's push it to the limit. But before I had to go through all these hoops on live stream, let me read a comment. They soon will say people living in the woods are a detriment to the health of the woods. When they know earthquake is going to happen. How do they know an earthquake is going to happen? The Pacific Northwest is overdue for an earthquake. Southern California is overdue for an earthquake. Even with them manipulating things, there are still cycles of earthquakes. I have a suspicion these cycles go in with the solar maximum, periods in which there's more solar flares. So we could see a cascade of natural disasters in the 2020s. I'm not predicting this. I'm saying that we have already seen, going back to 2011, it wasn't about the world ending in 2012. It was about the years prior and after being an increase in solar activity and an increase at that time in earthquakes, an increase at that time in the Ring of Fire. And people just, oh, it's going to go. It's going to go. Doesn't always go. Doesn't always go. Sometimes the energy is just released. Sometimes it doesn't all go. Sometimes it does go. But it's not the end of the world. Mount St. Helens, the same year I was born, 1980, it went. But yet, did that area recover? Will Hualfano County recover? These places will recover. Whatever happens to the earth will recover. But yes, they're demonizing the off-gridder without giving the off-gridder a chance and without showing that, they have an awareness that if they keep doing what they're doing, the homeless problem in the cities are going to get worse and worse and worse. What is their plan long term? Do they have a plan? Are they even thinking? Because I have yet to come across one of these supposed intellectual urbanites in the city that knows anything about what's been happening with the land use codes, contributing to people being called criminals if they live on their land. And right now, there's a big move for them to figure out how to legally get people off their land because they've had some struggles. Some people have, I fought the law and the law won. Well, in some cases, some people have been triumphant. In some cases, they haven't been. And the counties have ravaged them and have tried to destroy their life. This comes down to the county in some circumstances. This comes down to the person. This comes down to the reasoning, right? And even if we don't agree with it, we find ourselves targeted, it's good for us to be aware, right? There is a drought issue in Colorado. There are certain environmental things that are taking place. And it is like watching prisoners, the behavior change within a prison. Just like we look at those bears attacking each other, right? When we see this resource depletion in their neck of the woods. Looking to the comments really briefly. Let that live stream roll. Fires are healthy to the forest, believe it or not. And that may be true. And I don't sit here and claim to know everything. I'm trying to understand nature more. I don't think that nature is something to worship. I think that we're in a matrix, but nature, the organic nature as it is something to understand how everything works together. And there is a misunderstanding of nature. I don't want to get long-winded. I guess I could play it. I heard some audio from a woman at one of those planning commission type deals, stand up for the off-gridders' rights. And she was trying to explain that many counties and places have already accepted the composting system. And they're working with people that have that type of a system. And yet, such and such organization is forbidding it. And they're demanding a $27,000 septic. And again, there are certain properties, probably mine, right, where where even if you spend $1,000 to have the engineer try to do a perk test, land won't perk. There's a lot of places where land won't perk. Sometimes people try to find the land that'll perk first before they build. And it's like a part of the deal. And a lot of people are like, yeah, they're so we are out of balance with the nature of how we eat, how we deal with what we produce, if you will. Right? And we're told that this system's best. This system's best. Hey, look at Portland, Oregon. What is the top story coming out of Portland, Oregon most of the time? It is human waste in the Willamette River. Human waste in the Willamette River. And it's time to switch from instant coffee to tea. But I have my green tea and I have my black tea. See, I've always felt that this city of the wounded goddess, you know, I don't feel like I'm going back to Portland anytime soon. It's just not right. I look, it's just not right. It's not kosher. I know someone who he's not terminal. He's sick. And while that's no one's business, right? I would say pray for my friend in Portland, Oregon. That's what I would think would be a good use of social media and the internet, that I knew someone once that helped me build up a certain amount of courage to say, live somewhere like this. It's difficult to get into all of what I mean by that. But I credit him with giving me a certain amount of life experience and credit early on in my life. I don't necessarily like everything about my parents, right? But I appreciate, as I said before in a recent video, that certain elements of this matrix, if you will, I got to see some beautiful elements of this world, I guess. Things could have been worse. The 80s could have been worse for me. I think the 80s were screwed up for a lot of people. Somebody commented in a recent video, Alex, sometimes it's just crazy to believe you grew up in Oregon, or Portland rather. And I would say that, for the record, I didn't actually move into Portland until I was 13. We were on a rural 40-acre property in Aurora. Bill Nagel for covering NAGL. His property still stands there to this day, but it's been sold. He passed away in 2004. Ironically, one day after my first TV show, I still remember like my sinuses clogged at my grandfather's funeral in the Canby area, as you were always on my mind, blared through the loudspeaker. I was probably bawling louder than anybody else, because those were my more challenging years, and the late 90s into 2000s. And by the time my TV show Outside the Box was up and running on a regular basis in 2004, 2005 on cable access TV, he was already gone. I guess I bring that up to kind of remind myself that we shouldn't have regrets. I mean, the past is the past. This is also a very difficult time to travel, bringing this back down to what I was saying about Portland. I don't think it's the right time to go to Portland for me. I think that going to Portland in the future would be a better time. I look over at Twitter and I see the Portland Alerts, which is a handle, and they're like, naked man with knife standing at 104th Street, screaming bloody murder out in the streets, more at 11, and it just goes on, like it's like describing a scene from The Exorcist. Some woman is in the street and she's stabbing herself with a crucifix, screaming, I won't say, but literally like people with their heads spinning like this. And it's like, oh my God. I'm going to talk about something else that kind of bothered me. There are people that not only do they not want people to be able to live on their own land legally, they'll talk about them on YouTube, on rather social media. I'm not going to give you an example of what I mean. I saw somebody, they talked about this person like, they're squatting when they're not squatting, just based on suspicion. Well, what's she doing with those curtains? What are you trying to hide? She's a woman living in her van as a bunch of nosy men with loud, aggressive trucks drive by her driveway. You think there'd be some compassion for a woman in a van on her own land. Let's go to the comment section. I need to wash this. I need to clean out a little. Colorado, you can't. No. Answering Jan's question about the compost, people are homeless as a result. of land use codes, right? This is an ongoing discussion, right? All kinds of articles are online, but I tried to bring someone up to like 0 to 60, like boom, okay, now you got that. Now the real chair on the Sunday, Americans aren't organizing to help their fellow Americans. That's the real headline. It's not, this is not allowed. The headline is, human beings are not working together in websites, organizations, forums to work to make those things legal. That's the headline. And that's the disruption to the force, like a healthy force. Certain factors are necessary for there to be a happy, healthy community where people trust each other and the kids feel safe enough to play. There are certain factors that are required for a happy, healthy off-grid community that isn't just a happy, healthy off-grid community for those with nice houses and $27,000 septic systems. They have, through their regulations, let me make sure I'm clear here, made outlaws out of those living alternatively. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Right? Not that they're hunting for them, that, hey, it's not okay to do what you're doing, but you know, we don't have the ability to just like lock you away for it. So we're just going to tell you can't do it and just don't do it. And yeah. But if we have a way that we can, you know, get your land away from you, oh, we'll do it, even if it's illegally. And so certain counties, right? I don't want to bring up the past or get into that right now. It's just too sad. It's heartbreaking. But bringing everyone up to 0 to 100, right? The heartbreaking thing for me is the lack of organization from those people affected. The heartbreaking thing for me after Costilla County was seeing people get, well, maybe we need, you know, the socialist credit system and bicycles, and somebody else going, Donald Trump. And all due respect to those of you that are on all different sides of the political spectrum, when people care more about their primary political beliefs and understandings, try to bring up my chat box here a little bit, that gets in the way of people building community around those ideas. Like someone could be like, oh, I'm so glad Bernie Sanders is there. And it's like, well, what does Bernie Sanders have to say about the off-gridders and this legal? Well, I'm so glad Donald Trump's going to make America great again. Man, our country's screwed up before. Now there's maybe some hope. All right, you're an off-gridder. You want your private property rights. You're happy that Donald Trump is in. You know, I'm asking you, where has there ever been a statement about supporting off-grid living? Not attacking you, not attacking him. It's actually a question that we should be having now several years into the presidency. Because I think people thought that some Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030 agenda was simply a Democrat agenda. And so within that paradigm of them being kind of like, oh, I'm so glad we're safe, until the Democrats come in and we're in 2030. It's like, we need to be focused on 2018 and where we are now. Comment section is back up. Let's see what it is. Edgar Allan Poe. Now, Edgar Allan Poe says 100,000 cows, you know what, in the field. But try to build an outhouse for 4 people. Forget 4, try 1. Right? No go. City code, no, it's $27,000 if you're in certain counties. It depends on how much they're quoting. $5,000 on a septic would be a discount. The quotes I'm hearing, once you add up all the costs, is something like $27,000 because there's so many costs, and even getting them to even July 4th. We're talking about this on July 4th. God help us. But you know, honestly, I've just been waiting for this. Like, I don't feel like ranting and trying to convince you of anything. If you're enjoying your fireworks, enjoy your fireworks, enjoy your chili dog, enjoy your festivities, enjoy your alcohol. Hell, you know, if you're local and you're trying to bring over a 6-pack right here, please keep the cigarettes away. You know, there's a time for festivities as long as we don't lie to each other. We're so glad buying these fireworks keep us free. These fireworks came from China. Our relationship with China is getting better by the day. What was this right here from Reddit? By the way, some people want to hear tips for other places to get news. Don't depend on one person to be the aggregate of all the articles. Once you get a grasp on what's going on, you're going to find truth and lies in the alternative media and mainstream media. Once you say that everything is fake from a local affiliate. Okay, they're covering burglaries. Are we saying that the burglary didn't happen? And there are times in which the media gets it wrong, right? Like they did with the illegal alien from Denmark. And they will say something like arson. He committed arson, when in fact he was cooking meat and or burning trash like an idiot. But to put arson over negligent and reckless is to lead the masses into this belief system that he deserved to be treated a certain way by black inmates in a prison, if you catch my drift. And I'm just sitting here like, whoa, whoa, whoa. These are dirty people. I don't know if you spend much time in Denver or Colorado Springs, but there is a reason you don't really see me there much. I do have a friend that has moved to Colorado. I've known him for a number of years. I'm glad to hear that he has decided to get away from Texas and Arizona. So you are going to see live streams from me, possibly in the future in Denver. Maybe I'll even do a live stream at a Starbucks, Starcucks, whatever. Or somewhere else. I think somewhere else would be better. Maybe a city park with Wi-Fi. But this is a really good sign. Feel free to give me a shout out in the comment section. If you would like to do a super chat, that's a way you can donate. And that's a simple way they have set up on YouTube. I don't have to be, folks, I don't have to be 10,000. No, I have 10,000 subscribers. I see people that have like large audiences that have large amounts of money thrown at them just for being large. It's like a tribute thing. That's okay. All I'm trying to do is reach out to those people that do an ability to help contribute to what I do on a monthly basis, because now I can see that this technology, though, is tight enough, strong enough for me to come to you without it all breaking up. I mean, I was just trying to do like an audio podcast, just over an image. And people were screaming at me in the comment section saying that, that they couldn't hear me, or that they couldn't see me, or that it was breaking up, and they were getting upset. And that was all about one video being brought into being made another video size and then being shooted out here through a computer with RAM issues. I've tried to explain to people over the years, I know very little about the technological backbone of the hardware repair of computers, be it that or a Mac. It comes up when I go out looking for work. Someone's like, oh, you're an IT guy. No, I've done writing. I've done content creating. You know, I even have my own little on-demand platform. I'm not an expert at these things, but I'm involved in generating my own media and posting it on my own platforms. And when you're out there looking for work, there isn't really an easy way to convey that to a lot of people. Some people get the wrong idea about what YouTube is. Let me tell you, we can't completely blame YouTube for some of the things that it's doing. Like I said, it's demonetized elements of my videos that I think are non-political, just about relationships. But just because they had MGTOW in the title or in the content, or maybe it was an angry woman at YouTube headquarters that saw an Alex Ansary video. Maybe that's what did it. Maybe it was more than one. Maybe they even went, what the hell? F you. Who knows, right? But there are worse lifetimes. There are worse. We could be in the third world trapped with like a little ID that says you are a member of such and such place. And your ability to live in the United States or somewhere where this type of crap isn't going on is absolutely hindered because of circumstances out of your control. So I see people that are actually doing very well, right? That talk about being held down when they don't know what suppression is, just in general, as an American. There are certain things that people have access to, technologies and ways to make a buck if someone's really motivated and someone really wants to do it. Doesn't mean that I won't be censored or feel like I'm being held back because people are going to be putting me into a box. We all know that if I just went straight Democrat or Republican, that subscriber button could go up to 100,000 views. All you got to do is just pick a choice or stay in the pit. Well, I've been in the pits for a long, long time. And when you only have people watching your channel that are open to outside the box ideas, it's going to be difficult to grow, you see, at a rate that others do. Now, you see and I'm not attacking any channels, so I'm not mentioning them by name, but there are certain channels that come up. They've been around for a few years. They follow all the latest trends, especially with Q and things that I question or whether or not they're actually real or not, whether or not they've been designed to chase their tail. And I think that the algorithm, believe it or not, has been designed to boost the traffic of channels that dabble in certain trending themes. And there are periods in which they cry censorship and it seems that their channel is taken away. In a lot of those cases, they were given their channel back and their viewership grew quite a bit. There are other people out there like the big guy down in Alex Jones down in Austin, Texas, that'll cry about being censored when they're bigger than ever, when their names are being dropped more than ever. So those aren't the real little guys that are suffering. And then you look over at their Patreons and there's tens of thousands coming in at least a year, but by that month, hundreds to thousands. And sometimes YouTube audiences just want to look at someone that looks really pretty. That's going to feed them their propaganda. And they're getting the super chats and they're getting the likes and they're getting the traffic. But if you stay independent, right, and you don't necessarily market your YouTube channel to just like the lowest common denominator, because that is a formula. Someone could buy an ebook and learn the formula, how to market your YouTube channel to the lowest common denominator. And to stay away from certain topics, stay away from politics and religion. Stay positive all the time. Have happy music in the background. Are you noticing these videos in the background with the banjo? Dun, 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 dun. Hi, I'm going to tell you how to life hack something. Hack this. But it becomes a trend. But, you know, we shouldn't be too critical, right? This is a world that's still growing. Let myself and people like you, let's think about the time where they wore those really crazy pants. I'm going to look at the comment section in a minute. I'll just finish this thought because I can't do comments and talk and keep my focus. We can go back and forth. Although we can practice some train wrecks. The night is young. It's like those crazy pants from the 80s with like the circles and whatnot. At one point, that was cool. And then people were bodybuilding and their like, you know, appearances tended to start looking a certain way because there was a certain type of steroids and juice on the market when they were cycling, and they would put on those silly little pants and, you know, they have that 1990 bodybuilder look. It's like, what the hell? Human beings are constantly changing and laughing at their own fats, laughing at themselves. So it's like this duality, or they're laughing at ourselves or saying we're so cool. Our government has it figured out. Our elected officials have it figured out. Oh, we're so happy now with the election. Oh, we're so sad now with the election. You know, and it's like, I've been independent from the beginning. Oh, it always comes down to this, right? What you're seeing are these simulations of civil war throughout the United States. From Portland to Los Angeles. The question is, right, do some of those people that are protesting, even blocking ICE, care about some of the people that they say they're standing up for? See, that conversation never really comes up. That conversation never really comes up. But I've been bringing it up for a number of years. And some people do. I think that it's challenging, and it's probably recommended to not wholesale judge everybody on either side, even if we're really against like certain people in office that they happen to support. Human beings, I mean, have a certain nature to it. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I'm just now looking at human beings, by and large, tend to follow herds and packs. And so there are people, where was I going with this? Well, we were talking about building up YouTube popularity. And so that influences, but you know, I'm not just critical of just one side politically. You can look at people that get on board these trends over at the Young Turks and others, and they're just pushing these narratives, including Kyle from Secular Talk. I'm not cursing him. I don't find his delivery to be I just hear the same dribble, the same left-right dribble. I appreciate the fact, right, that he says that he is against the wars and he cares about people, and he claims that he's written his own legislation that a newly elected lady in New York that a lot of people are upset and happy about. He claims she's all about his ideas. Oh, great. But when I look at Kyle, I do see another, how do I put this? I just see another, you know, and their lifestyles are all about following these trends. And it's like, it's not easy to be a trendsetter, but there are subtle trends that you and I, right, may really be a part of, but we're not really represented on a larger scale. someone that's looking beyond the left-right paradigm, someone that can see the changes taking place to our planet and feel it, changes to the climate, but they're not necessarily using the same excuses or blaming the same people or industries or whatever for the climate changing. On a celestial level, something bigger is taking place. It seems to be altering our civilization, not just our consciousness. I am ranting and ranting. We're going to start some tea. Good morning, Alex and everyone. Tucson, Arizona here. And that is Victor. Anyone burning in the hills during the summer months is beyond negligent. That is true, but I don't think that they should be, killed. And I think that if the masses had their way, there'd be a lot of blood. There'd be a lot of things of that nature. The question is, how could one person like Jasper Jorgensen from Denmark, how could one person possibly pay all that back? And the question is, if that happens, right, and take a look at future dystopian realities where there's natural disasters and witch hunts, knowing the history of mankind and the burning of witches, what would be to stop the masses from hurting innocent people in some circumstances? Or whole groups of people. You people are with him. You're of the same class. Oh, are we going to start blaming everybody from Denmark now? No one's going to suggest that. But being that there are other people that live in rural areas, the question is, are they going to just start proposing then concentration camps for people that are of a certain income? Who knows? Maybe that's going to come as they bring back the debtor prisons. Hopefully that won't happen. But if they were to bring back the debtor prisons, for example, then they can have full-on concentration camps for a lot of us that have some level of debt. Then we can all be housed and boxed in the same area, removed from nature in these big concrete boxes. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe at some point, China and Russia will say, hey, look at what these crazy Americans are doing. They're locking each other up. We have to intervene. And then maybe the UN will go, dun, 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 world news alert, world news alert. And they'll be at the UN. It'll be one big giant circle. The year will be 2025. The United States will have already struck some target in the South China Sea. And the world's like, whoa, dude, we got our own people in these camps. We got these people in camps. We've got this stuff going on. It's time to intervene. And it could be set up for us to continue to receive these deceivers. This could even continue beyond Donald Trump. You know, a lot of people are constantly, hey, maybe George Bush is the one, and it's going to all end under George Bush. No, it's Obama. Yeah, it's Obama now. No, it's Trump. It's Trump. Now it's all going to end under Trump. It's like we're actually stepping our way. They're all working together, right? It makes no sense why any mainline Republican or Democrat would even watch a stream like this. They're all working together, helping each other hand in hand to get to this place. And right now, it's part of this continuation of helping China and Russia develop this military and economic superiority. $22 trillion helps that process in a profound way. $25 trillion sounds even better. You know what? Better make it 33 trillion. Maybe we'll be at World War III by 33 trillion. 33, maybe 33.3.333 trillion, right? We just don't know. But yes, we continue to go into debt because within our own government at the deepest levels, it's on purpose. It's an intentional bankruptcy, right? These types of dialogues are not being had in the mainstream alternative media chat rooms. No, it's just this deep state wizard behind the curtain. And then I look at those that catapult that propaganda with a straight face to you on a live stream, mind you, on a live stream. And it's like, wow, they are really keeping it together on their live stream as they put up this counterfeit concern for the millions dead in the Middle East. Oh my God, the millions dead in the Middle East. Oh, Donald Trump. Why won't they let Donald Trump? Why won't they let Donald Trump just do his job? Please stop making fun of Donald Trump. You know, and it's like, leave Donald Trump alone. You people are snowflakes. Leave Donald Trump alone. No, I'm an independent thinker who doesn't get down and suck male member. I'm a man. I don't follow other men. I don't follow other men's rear end. I'm not a dog. I am a man. I'm an independent. Screw Bernie Sanders. What's he ever done for off-gridders? I'm a man. Does anybody speak my language? Over half of you do. Okay, 95%. So, but the idea of independent manhood is not following billionaires down streets, applauding them while they secretly plot the destruction of a country. That is a weak mind. Oh, Bernie Sanders, let's go to the left. Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, any of those typical, yeah, right. Ask the ultimate 9/11 questions without making a friggin' Alex Jones joke. I don't mean you. I mean these mainline Democrats. And it's like, yes, a lot of things that the Republicans are doing by design is designed to popularize the Democratic Party. They help each other. They have always helped each other as they go back and forth. And America thinks it's choosing things. And as long as the slaves think that they're actually choosing things, the riot that they're partaking in will only be directed at each other. And I'm not saying I'm a proponent of rioting or the movie V for Vendetta, right? But all that stuff is fables. All that stuff is just like modern urban mythos that we're all like V, like, ooh, well, first of all, you ain't anonymous. It's not just Cambridge Analytica. They got access to our private messages on Facebook. So when people are anonymous, by the way, it's not them being anonymous on the internet because the government, they want to be anonymous to the people they're interacting with or harassing on the internet itself. Because the government knows who they are. The only people who don't know who some of the anonymous people out there that use the handles are other people. And the question is, it's good to be safe about our security, right? But ultimately, we should set out to do the right thing. We should set out to do the right thing. We can try to be like super preppers and all this and that and hide in a hole. But I think what's more important for our own survival going into the future is to do the right thing, to seek to maintain our humanity. You know, I think right now that we're being tested on a number of levels. Think about a human being being tested, whether or not they have compassion, whether they're identifying with the left or the right. Right? Think about someone that sees, say, a Trump supporter being beat down the street and says, yeah, they deserve it. Oh, we're so pro-people and pro-peace. And that person is being beat into the ground by a couple of thugs because they have a Trump sticker. No, that doesn't make them more conscious. We can have an agreement that we don't buy someone's hype, that they're here to bring change we can believe in to make America great again. To merge, of course, the Obama and Trump logos. Welcome, thumb down viewers. Shout out, holla. So we have a situation where the slogan, make America great again, to change we can believe in, and make America great again. Nails on the chalkboard. What do you think they're going to be giving us in 2020? I mean, it's just lowering the bar. Like such and such, 2036, maybe we shouldn't kill each other. 2036, vote Mick Johnson. Maybe we shouldn't die next year. Maybe we should just stop with the insanity. Mick Johnson, 2036, and the crowd goes wild. And he was another guy that was just bought and paid for. And it's sad, man. And so how do you keep up the faith? How do you keep up the hope when you have all these people that are just constantly following the herd? Philosophically speaking, I believe in evolving beyond this matrix. I know, we're getting cliche again, but I don't believe in political change. I don't believe that we're seeing political change. We've seen the same thing. We're in some sort of a weird biological prison without bars or something, right? This is a foul planet. These are funky souls. Funky. It is a funky dance floor. Some people took a shower this morning. Some people did not. By the way, all of you are acting completely appropriately from what I understand. It's amazing how 1 year changes things. But that can change. That can change. And I haven't yet looked at the comment section. We'll take a look. Okay, so taking a brief breather. Just rambling along. I'm going to have to go ahead and and this should be the same stream. Okay, so it disconnected for just a minute there, and then it reconnected. We're going to do Om session, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare to get into your meditation positions. I know there's a lot of dialogue about the flat earth. I'm not even pumped up about taking the time to even debunk anything. It's like there are things that people can manufacture to just get a buzz around, and you got to pay attention to when YouTube's suggesting to you over and over and over within a period of time, whether it's political content, flat earth content, other content, it's going to happen to where really off the wall stuff is constantly being marketed. I don't think that YouTube is like this one behemoth personality with an attitude problem. It acts in bizarre ways. It's an expression of modern day artificial intelligence, and humans are changing how the artificial intelligence interacts with us by changing the algorithm, which is inconsistent. We haven't yet hit this, place to where the system is working more evenly than it used to. I have this feeling that we've come out of a darker period. But for some of us to even make a buck, if you will, there has to be more work put into it, more videos put into it, and things of that nature, and new strategies to build our channel. Because while a lot of you may be more concerned with some of these topics, some of us also have to survive too. And within the topics, let's talk about energy throughout the day. If I'm looking at one headline and that one headline changes my day for the negative, the whole day, and I'm responding to it by a series of videos, more discipline is needed in the amount of time that we allow any headline to distract our consciousness. The main topic of this was, of course, spiritual self-defense. So to bring it back down to that, right? When certain programs or psyops are running enough space in our head, our behavior can be influenced. So that's why the internet is a very powerful thing, right? It's used to market ideas. It's used to sell products. It's used to sell wars. Even in some ways in which the people may not even know, right, that they are being targeted to go along with a continuation of the same agenda. The herd consciousness, the ungrounded consciousness that'll go along with all the drinks at the bar. Well, not to put down anyone that's drinking at the moment that's watching this on a big screen TV. Just shout out to that bar somewhere in Los Angeles watching the Alex Ansary YouTube live stream. Thank you. Thank you. Feel free to let me know what bar you're playing my channel at, and maybe we'll try to drum up some business. But one of the things that I'm hoping for, because I can look at other YouTube channels, right? And they will have a lot of activity in the comment section that may relate to some concrete themes. The problem that I've come across, because some of the content is conspiratorial, some of the ladies that come and go, some of the others that think they're spiritual and stuff, don't hang around too long because they get to hear an opinion of Alex Ansary that may be considered too harsh. So then I'll personally struggle with the core people at times on social media that are commenting. I know I need to do more. The problem is, here's the problem. As spiritual as I may want to be, I'm not going to not talk about certain things. Now, if I was to get on board like a certain consciousness wave with Alex Ansary, oh man, they'd be girls throwing their pants, throwing their phone numbers, their emails. It would just be off the charts. They'd be in my state. They'd be like, whoa, you're 2 hours from me. Let's connect some chakras. You see, but in this particular situation, there's so much stuff they can find and go, oh, negative. Oh, I don't want to hear that in the box because we've been programmed. I have met thousands of women, or I've had the support of thousands over time, They only saw something in me for a few months or a few years. Because some of the other content and some men, maybe there's some men out there, right, that might stumble upon youtube.com/Ansary and look at the videos and go, oh, he's another conspiratorial ass hat. Conspiracy, probably wants to be Alex Jones. Conspiracy, probably wants to be Alex Jones. That could be a rant. That could be dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. And they can act all smart and everything by putting me down and pointing their friggin' finger without even understanding how difficult it is to be your own niche. And it's like, seas of people screaming at us that the sun doesn't exist is a very bad sign. Seas of people, and I'm not saying that about like you guys now, we're just like discussing like the general engagement element of social media. Are people organizing real barbecues? Are people doing what they can do? Are people making documentaries that have YouTube channels? Are they sharing information on websites? Are they writing articles? Or are we going into the Borg? Are we going into the Borg? And not every day is the same day, right? Someday we may wake up and go, wow, I'm really like feeling tapped into nature and I want to go out, and your body maybe want to do, there's a reason why people are traveling right now in large numbers. And even if some people are critical, if they're using gasoline or whatnot, they're migrating from one place to another. That's part of some people trying to find their grounding is traveling from one part of the country to another. Sometimes that magnetism, when we're having certain full moons and solar activities and solar flares could be affecting us in a electric way. Somebody like myself could be thinking in their community, like I did about Portland, Oregon, going, I want to get off this ley line. Something's really intense about how it's charging up this part of the planet and how people are responding to it, and this paranormal Archon thing that seems to go with the boost of that type of electromagnetic natural energy. Cut it some unnatural cell phone frequency. Oh, it's like a portal to hell opening up. Hello, 5G. For anyone who wants to start talking about the 5G element, again, we have people today. Not everyone is grateful enough in some circumstances because they may not know what's coming. They may be stuck in self-pity because they don't have all the physical things that they want in life. But there's something to be grateful for, being somewhere off the grid or somewhat remote. This isn't all that remote, but it's away from the big cities to where we don't have to bask in that unhealthy, unnatural, fluorescent hertz frequency. And so many people live these lifetimes in lifestyles around those lights, around those buildings, around those cell phones, around other people with cell phones. And I understand many of you have cell phones. That's fine. But are some people a little more sensitive than others when it comes to energy, whether it be thought forms or whether it be cell phone towers? I would say the answer is yes. So I do believe that I believe it's cultural, that we have kind of like a modern earthling culture that's global. We have a global culture, basically. And as I've been saying for years, the good deeds of men are commonly overlooked. Like, again, many women find the channel and they come and go in a matter of days to months because there's just something that will fit in the box of bad man, not worthy, scary, fits into some sort of pre-programming. And it isn't until, right, we're in, this also goes for men. There's a lot of political pre-programming. Whereas a few years ago, that wasn't around. And I was way less careful about certain things and way more vulnerable all the way up until 2016. And when a series of things kept happening within one calendar year, I realized that I was being targeted on a spiritual level, not like a government official level, but I've been dealing with that spiritual acoustic stock energy that I think comes from the supernatural, in which I've even witnessed possessions of some audience members over the course of my time here off the grid. other really extreme, deep, profound attempts to distract me from like my main topics. And I thought it was sad, but also telling that there was some sort of a desire to like change the topic from the things that I'm discussing about what it was that set off. I woke up one day with my whole channel turned to private, which was kind of an unusual glitch or prank. But it was right around the time that I was talking about the North Korea fear-mongering simulation psyops is about creating the most amount of fear. Are any of you like picking up on what I'm saying, or how they know on some level when that energy comes in, when to launch their false flags? And it could be a shooting. It can be another declaration that we are on like the edge of something. And all these human beings could be exerting this frequency that they are sitting up in a spacecraft feeding upon. Now, listen, oh, my hair is looking great today, isn't it? Curly Alex. We've got situations where we're living in a science fiction film. We are living in a real life science fiction film. Let me look beautiful for you. Look at my sweaty little head here. There's no shame in wiping a little sweat off the forehead. Let's take a look at the comment section. I'm sorry that I can't read all your comments because I see it. There's more, but I see that Victor's popped in and he said that he was saying hello from somewhere, some state, Arizona. So there are good channels that do look into the influence of the cycles in the seasons, but not enough that look at the human behavioral response, but we'll take what we can get as long as we can move beyond this denial that we also are affected. It's not just botanical life. It's not, there are people that do this, folks. There are people that spend literally their whole just talking about weather patterns and possible cycles and not, hey, and this thing happened. There was a riot in Portland. Hey, this thing happened. There was something that happened and nothing like that happened for many, many years or many, many months. You see what I'm saying? I got to adjust my wig here. Hang on. Back in the day, the early trolls of Alex Ansary would comment on my quote unquote wig. Yeah. Early troll activity. Can't please everyone. So you got to please yourself. But just, all right. Victor, there is a lot of archonic, demonic influence on that coastline near Oregon. It has changed a lot. Why do you think it's changed? You mean, oh, it's become darker. It has. Not only that, there's a lot of people on the coast of Oregon that are doing a lot of drugs. Do you see some of the violent crime popping up in the news off the coast of Oregon? There's an increase in that. There's an increase in that type of activity. YouTube is AI for sure, says Edgar Allan Poe. And it alarms us. Hell, they could tell us a drunk could go out anywhere and just, what's the future going to look for us? See, at this point, I just give it up and I just stop feeling the fear in the afterlife. I'm not going to fill up my YouTube channel with various theories, right? But I'm aware we're going into a different state of reality when I go to sleep. And I wake up, right? I'm not necessarily thinking right now at this point, this is the real reality. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, hey, I'm back here for a undetermined amount of time. And see, there's so many ways in which they try to unground us and control us by the fear of not surviving. And it's rational for us to have instincts. Some of the instincts, though, are used against us. Not all instincts are good. Not all elements of the physical world are good. And I think that's what I've been trying to say. You know, we're programmed to kind of act instinctual and tribal with regards to certain things. It's not necessarily in some cases helping the situation or dealing with the quote unquote elite. The real elite of the world operate from these non-physical, archonic, demonic realms. Okay. It's far safer for a lot of people to not bring that up in their channels. It's viewed as schizophrenia. It doesn't change the reality of what it is. Another YouTube channel that I'll mention is Spark. And he's a white guy that was talking about being marginalized as potentially a Middle Eastern terror threat because he was running around in California with a vest. And the cops called the police on him. And the police came up saying, hey, you're not going to believe this. But your neighbors called you in and said that you're wearing a suicide vest. You see? And this guy's like very pale. Doesn't matter. he looks a certain way. He's got tattoos and he's wearing this vest. You see? Yeah. Meanwhile, we're conditioned for all the cops wearing bulletproof vests. You know, as they also, ooh, look at me, I got a bigger chest than you. I've got a vest. So they got that additional layer of authority. They got that additional layer of protection. Yet if somebody else was to walk around with a vest, they're going to be looked at like a suspect. Everything is making perfect sense. Give me some ideas for maybe some other things that you want to hear me expand on, though, as this live vlog videocast continues. Again, this is a historic day. It's not just a historic day because of July 4th. We're just after the 2-year anniversary of me being pretty much at the same spot without migrating or moving my RV from place to place. It's a special day because I'm realizing that this new YouTube software allows me to come directly to you with my current internet speed, and we're not having any hiccups. We're not having any breakups. I'm probably going to end this at some point and then come back. This is, again, more of a test and gives us some practice using the comment section. The new layout, the new setup for YouTube live stream, I'm happy with it. YouTube is AI. YouTube does hold us back to a certain degree, but it's not all suppression. It's not all oppression. YouTube does some really weird things. YouTube has suggested that we go to some really weird, dark places on YouTube. It also allows us to say our piece for the most part. By the way, I did say that there was a strike on my account for reporting on people that were calling for political violence. That strike was removed, right? YouTube's not perfect. Sometimes YouTube does what it's supposed to do. It's artificial. But ultimately, and then I'll get back to some comments, whether or not you see my new content is up to you. It's whether or not you choose right now as you're watching to hit that little red bell next to subscribe. If you didn't already know, that's how you're told right away if there's a new video, by hitting the bell. So hit the bell right now and like it. Right? And if you have friends that are into similar content, that have an interest in similar content as you, please share these videos. Please comment. I don't sit here and talk about fundraisers all day long, as you know. If you do want to contribute on a monthly basis, there's information, there's links down below or at my webpage. There's Patreon, there's PayPal. Once in a while, I'll create some exclusive content on my bonus channel. I'll be working on some new bonus content at some point. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Any updates on the spring fire? I have watched a few live streams where some people are talking about the spring fire. There aren't a lot of them. It's mostly just in the mainstream media. So it's good to have the mainstream media there that's reporting on some of the basic facts and things that are taking place. The problem is, what about just hearing someone talk for a half hour? It's actually been there. And I have heard from some people that have sold their homes and got out early. There's also not a lot of them because that is those plots are far larger. It's not like a typical like off-grid subdivision or anything, even though someone that was living off the grid in a camper that started a fire when there was a burn ban, the fire started that spread to an entirely different county, and it's still spreading at the moment that I speak. 80 something thousand acres. So I want to thank those of you that donated a few dollars for the super chat. I have a court date. MGTOW vegan, hello. This channel is life changing. Well, that's the first time I've heard that this week. So I have court on later in July. I do have insurance on my car now, but not the time that I was pulled over. It felt like some sort of odd timing that as soon as I didn't have it, right, that I got the ticket. After July 11th, I'm thinking about Denver. I'm thinking about Denver, Colorado. My car doesn't run that great. It needs an alignment. I think that it should be able to anyways, though. It needs a spare tire. It needs AAA. But if I'm able to save enough, I want to take care of some basic things and maybe drive up to Denver, either later on the month, later on the season. But it'd be good to line up some things ahead of time. I've mentioned Denver before, and I never really heard from anyone. And I think that it's good that if I do hear from people that I've heard from them before, they're not people that are just popping up out of nowhere to plan a prank, but people that maybe have been around the comment section for some time. I'd like to do more than just be off the grid all the time, cycle on, cycle off. There's a period in time in which we may want to be a lot more healthier with regards to certain things. Ultimately, I don't think that city life is ever going to be for me. I don't see myself, dedicating $500 a month or more to rent. That's double my land payments here. I'm just trying to make enough, several $100s per month, just to make my land payments and focus on this full time, because this is what I was born to do. Nobody remembers an Alex Ansary that tried to sell you Pellegrino or pour you water. I have experience working at some places 5 years to the day. You think I ever hear back from old coworkers or old customers? Hey, Alex, man, the way you poured that water, man, that was friggin' hot. Would you go ahead and pour my wife some water like that? Like, no, I don't hear from people that I poured water for. The people that say, get a job, you bum, are the people that want us to leave YouTube. Because the opinions that are shared, right, they don't want shared. Not everyone that bullies online is consciously trying to shut down the actual content stream, but it all has a root cause. When people come out of the woodwork, creating multiple accounts, playing little games like this with toys, it's about shutting down the content and trying to discourage someone from opening up, things of that nature. Solution to that is to keep doing what we're doing, moving into my 13th year. I mean, there's a period where somebody would go, why don't you tell that sand nigger to get out the air? Da, da, da. Like at one point, Bill would get a call like that, like every show in Portland, Oregon. We didn't need to make it a part of the show, but it was always a part of the constant backdrop in Portland, Oregon, that those calls would come in. And sometimes they get a chance to get on the air. Ooh, now sometimes people might be able to come into the chat room and go, poopy head. And even though we're having a great time today, that is, though, the normal modus operandi in how people interrelate to each other or obsess on particular internet figures. It's not healthy. That's why I don't reach out to anyone right now looking for interviews. That's why learning from my own experiences, I'm not incessantly contacting other people or trying to get them to come on this channel. I've learned a lot of things in the last calendar year from living off the grid about human psychology, and it's changed me to a certain degree. It's a scary world out there, folks. Be very careful when you're a public person on the internet, who you entangle with. Some people want to harm you. Some people are looking for information, okay, because there's this perception of political differences, and there's this perception of getting back at someone, and that's something that everybody needs to keep in mind, right? We're in the stalker society now. Get your helmet on. So I want to thank you all for hanging in there. MGTOW vegan, life-changing. Okay. Thank you very much for your viewership. Would like to see more people come in and bring up other areas of discussion. We're actually at 19 viewers. We could actually continue the stream, but see, I need to keep going this long, have some other things to focus on. Reading during a live stream, I'm not so keen on that, but if you want to hear me give a review of this book, this is John Ronson's Them, Adventures with Extremists. Now, I'm gonna answer this question. When you focus on the negative, you just get the negative. And I don't know you from Adam. You're just a commenter here. But I used to get talked down to by Portlanders in that way that just didn't like my content. The best advice I can give for you is, it sounds like this channel is not for you, because the idea is for you to enjoy what you're watching, not to be in conflict, right, with what someone does with their private life, what their ideas are, who they talk to, who they email with, what they like for breakfast. None of those things, is it Sacred Mountain? None of those things are really important. There's so much more of the potential of what one could discuss with a live content creator. So yes, centering, I write solo. I don't do joint projects, right? When I hang out with others, right? It's because I feel there's a sense of like mutual respect and kindness. There are thousands of people that are blocked, right? Great. And that's how it is. That's my right as an American. That's my right as a human. And that's my right legally by law. So I hope everybody enjoyed the live stream. We'll see you in the next one.